This episode of Rolling Tape is brought to you by Suspense with a Camera, a filmmaker's guide to Hitchcock's techniques, available in bookstores now. Today, we're going to get some insight into writing your script with Pilar Alessandra. She's an author of 2 books called The Coffee Break Screenwriter, Writing Your Script 10 Minutes at a Time, and The Coffee Break Screenwriter, Breaks the Rules. Pilar is a teacher and the host of the popular screenwriting podcast On the Page. Thanks for joining me, Pilar.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about your 2 books, The Coffee Break Screenwriter and Coffee Break Screenwriter Breaks the Rules.
Sure. The Coffee Break Screenwriter came out of having been teaching for a number of years and developing a number of exercises in class that actually got people writing and moving forward in their writing, but moving forward in a really short amount of time because it was class and I had to have them do it on the spot. They had to actually make some progress and move on. So the whole purpose of the first book is short writing tools you can use when you only have 10 minutes of time on your coffee break, which you usually take for social media. Stop doing that for a second and just focus on your script and you will get progress made. You will get things done. So that was the point of the Coffee Break Screenwriter.
That's like telling people you have no excuse for not writing a screenplay now. Don't say you don't have time.
That's right.
How did you come up with the format? What made you want to write a book in this format?
Well, I guess because people were making such progress and I realized that in class, this was their writing time, I better have them write. So as I saw what was working, I was able to take those and go, okay, what are the stages that we're really working out here? And divide the book into those stages so that you can move from idea, basically, into outline, into pages, and all the way actually into a rewrite and a pitch. So I'm very interested in people looking at the book for that as well. Sometimes they only look in the beginning, but I think actually the book gets better as you get further in. So if you're just in a rewrite place right now, skip to the rewrite section and read from there.
And that's what I like about these books, both of the books. They're kind of reference books. You can kind of jump to where you need to be and get questions answered. The Coffee Break Screenwriter is 60 lessons. Is that correct?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think we basically went, I think there's about 60 of them here, but there could be more, frankly. If we just sort of put it all out there because there's so many different ways to break story and to move forward in your outline, pages, etc. So yeah, it's probably approximate. Yeah.
Okay, and let's talk about the other one. This is a thinner book, The Coffee Break Screenwriter Breaks the Rules, but it's thin, but it's like loaded with information.
It's one, you know what? It's a couple bathroom reads. You know what I mean? You're in there. Let's go for it.
Hey, that's my Facebook time.
So it's called The Coffee Break Screenwriter Breaks the Rules. And the reason for it is because what would happen is everybody would write their script using my book, hopefully, but they would write it and they'd send it out in the world. And then they felt that they had all these rules, all these, you can't do this, you can't do that. And so they would start to get maybe paralyzed in their rewrite process. Oh, I have to be safe. And the problem is that nobody wants safe right now. They want originality. So how do you break the rules? Because you should, but how do you do it in a way that's that won't make your script crazy? So we talk a lot about what's the rule, why is it there, why you should break it for originality, how to break it cleverly and creatively, and how breaking it can also break bad, so break it with care. So we go through all those things for all these different rules that people get hung up on when it comes to writing.
And it's kind of like a know the rules before you break the rules type of situation.
Exactly.
What type of scripts does it work well for? Does it work for television as well as feature films?
Absolutely, because I think these rules run the gamut. You hear things like no voiceover, and they mean it for every scripted material. Then you see voiceover that basically leads through a TV show, or you see an Academy Award winning screenplay with voiceover, or they say no flashback, or they say, oh, only write about these kind of people, or never do period pieces, or only write in this way as far as the format goes. All of those things apply to TV or to feature, and it can paralyze any kind of writer. So it's a way to sort of free yourself up. And I give some examples from TV shows and movies that do break the rules well.
Yeah, and as you say that, shows that I think of immediately are Netflix's Stranger Things. That's totally a period piece. The Wonder Years was all narrated, as was A Christmas Story.
Right.
Was all narrated. So they broke the rules successfully. So learn how to do that in this book.
That's right. Doesn't it kill you that Stranger Things is a period piece?
You know what it kills me is like, yeah, I remember that when I was a kid. Like
oh boy.
Well, I mean, I was a kid in the late 70s, I'd say, but when I see that, I'm like, that show is more 80s than the 80s ever was.
That's true.
It's like everywhere you look, there's like this 80s, like I didn't even have a Rubik's Cube. These kids don't ever, But that show is so well written, and it does break the rules because it took period piece and blew it all out of the water. And
it makes it a character. So that's one way to break the rules of a period piece, is to actually double down on it. Why do you have it in that period? Oh, there's a reason for it? Okay, let's bring it out even more. That way somebody can't go, oh no, we just can't do it, let's substitute. No, they'll see that it is integral to the storytelling. And so that usually is a good way to break the rule, is just overly commit to it.
Mm-hmm. Who would you recommend get these two books?
Everybody. I would say, look, it's great for a writer who just has an idea, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a beginning writer. You could have written 3 other things. That first book will streamline your process, and that second book will also help you be more creative. But if you are a beginner, I think everything is practical enough and simple enough that you can come into it, get something done just as well as any produced writer out there. And I have produced writers that are my clients or come on my podcast and tell me that they use the book all the time because it gets them right back in it in a really quick way. They're not sort of mired in the rules of their industry or their past show. So yeah, it could be for everybody, I think.
Talk about your website and talk about your podcast.
Sure. So my website is sort of a catch-all for everything. onthepage.tv. It lists my live classes in LA, and that's really what I love doing more than anything, is teaching. It also lists any classes where I'm teaching abroad, Europe, whatever. It also has some recorded classes. So for people who are listening who aren't here, they can purchase some recorded classes. They don't look great, but they get the job done. Also, the website, you can click there and go to the iTunes link. The podcast is called On the Page, like my business, On the Page. And we've just done, I think, our 540th episode. It's been running for about 10 years, and it talks about everything having to do with a scripted page.
All right. And where can people get the books?
The books are on mwp.com, which is my publisher's website, Michael Weezy's website. And I think you can get them there for maybe the cheapest, but there's also amazon.com. Yeah. Like, I'm talking about Amazon, like people don't know what Amazon is.
Yeah.
There's also Amazon. Get it on Amazon.
Go to Amazon.
Yeah.
She didn't give the whole website. How will I ever find that?
I know.
She's breaking the rules.
Camera. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd a piece of information that you would give to a filmmaker who is just beginning and maybe like not sure what to do, how to begin?
Okay. I guess the first thing goes back to something that a lot of people say, which is a log line. And a log line is a 1-sentence description of your main idea. Okay. You've got it here. All right. If you need to find that perfect sentence that tells somebody what your idea is. It's not the theme. It's not what if love conquered all, okay? It's really what the story is. Try and put that story in one line, read it to somebody, and see if their eyes light up. And if they don't, edit it, read it again until somebody gets how special it is. So I would start with a log line.
All right, Pilar. Thank you so much. Can you give your website one more time?
Sure, it's onthepage.tv.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Rolling Tape. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the information that you've shared with people.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.